How's it going, guys? It's always a pleasure being here. I'm here today to show you guys some C stand, and of course I know most of you guys know what a C stand is and how to use it, and you probably own 5 or 6 or 10 of these things. For the other people that don't know what a C stand is, also welcome to this video, because I'm going to be also covering how to use a C stand towards the middle or the end or something like that. Let's see how this thing goes. I have a bunch of chrome C stands. The interesting thing is this particular stand here is a black one, which does not reflect light, but I also like the chrome stuff as well, especially this one here is nice and shiny. And the reason why I'm so excited having this stand over here is because this thing has something that my other stands don't have. As you can see, most of the stands here, they are the regular total base legs, but this stands here allows me to mount on uneven surfaces. This allows you to raise the legs when you find obstacles or a ramp or even stairs. C stands are heavy because they're made of steel, and they should be heavy because they're supposed to provide safety on set. The heavier the thing is, the more stable it is. But this particular one here, when I took it out of the box, I mean, it scared me a little bit because this thing's at least 6 pounds heavier than this C stands over here. They're all made of steel, and the advantage that you see here is because the heavier they stand, the more gravity pushes it down, which provides even extra stability, so you don't need to use a lot of these. I mean, of course you need it, but it's going to be probably using less weight because the C stand already is heavy. So these C stands here, they have the standard turtle base legs, right? Everybody knows how to close this thing. You close it like this, right? But this particular one opens and closes different. Let me lay this down here a second. This particular one here, you can't just do what I did, because this particular one here, as you can see, the leg rises. This is called the Rocky Mountain leg or system. A couple months ago, I was shooting a movie scene for a client of mine who's been working on this movie for as long as 4 years. And then I took a couple of these C stands on set there, and there was a particular scene that I have to be outside on a egress, the basement, in the doors that open. This thing was a little ramp, right? So I have to have somebody to hold the stand like this, and also on the stairs the same exact way. And then I wish I had the stand present on that shoot, because it would have made my filming a lot easier. So I'm actually super excited again to have this type of stand here. First, that's black, it doesn't reflect light, and these do. And also these legs, but you can't open this stand the way you open that stand that I just showed you. To open this particular stand here, you loosen the knob first. As you can see, the leg moves freely, right? And then with your thumb, press a little bit here, let it find the thing, which is right here, and then this thing is gonna sit here. You're gonna feel it right there, and then you tighten the knob. Continuing with the legs here, there are some safety precautions that you need to know when you're using a stand like this, so you don't damage the stand, or you don't hurt anybody, or you don't damage your own equipment loaded on the light. And talking about load, a lot of times on the set, when you're gonna use this leg, the stand is probably gonna be loaded already with a big flag or a light or whatever you got here. I don't know if this is my own little technique here, but anyway, I'm gonna show you guys the way that I believe is the safest and most practical way to move the leg without collapsing anything here. With the stand loaded or unloaded, what you want to do is this part of the arm here, you want to grab the stand this way, and your inner leg is going to grab the main pole right here. So if the stand cannot fall this way because your leg is in the way holding, and the stand is not going to go forward because of my body blocking it, okay? So the first thing you want to do is to loosen this knob here, and then you can tilt the stand a little bit, and then you grab this hand from the center pole here, and then see how easily that slides, and the full control you have with the stand. The stand is not going anywhere. I can go here, I can go there, the stand is not going to fall. And then you wait until it finds its own notch over there, which is right here, and then you tighten the knob. So the stand is going to be this way, right? So again, the same technique, leg right here, arm over here, loosen the knob. You let it fall, but your body is holding it, so I can take my time, I can move the stand back, and I guess that should be level. If it is not, a little bit, just go back here and do that. On a ramp, here's my speaker stand right here. That doesn't work well either, right? So the same technique, grab it this way. Look how much control you have. and that's it. See this part over here? This is the bump that this thing's supposed to sit on. So let the thing find its own, should be somewhere here. There you go. Then you tighten it down. Another cool thing that I did here, I went to Lowe's and I bought this little chair cups over here, because most C stands, they slide very easy, especially concrete. And when you go outside on the ground with a rough terrain, you can actually preserve your original C stand legs here, the actual feet, right? And then when this gets worn out, you just throw it away, buy another one. This costs like, $1 or $2. The diameter of this is 7/8, and this is very gummy, very soft, which is nice. So when you put this thing on a concrete floor, it doesn't go anywhere. You really hold it. The best way to close a C stand is upside down. You have full control of the thing. You see everything that's going on. This particular stand here, don't forget, again, you have this knob over here, which works different than a regular total base leg. So you want to push this one here first, like that, all the way here. And then you loosen this knob while you're holding, and then you can actually close it this way and tighten it down. To open, you just open this here somewhere, and this way here. C stand is done. Now, if you're used to open a C stand this way, you can, but keep in mind that this actually increases the possibility of accidents or hurting your own equipment when you turn the thing around. You gotta always watch your surroundings. So the best way to open a C stand is this way. So if you wanna open it that way, make sure that nobody's behind you. Don't do that. Watch the client's ceiling. Watch the synthesizers over here. There's a lot of things around to break on a set. So if you carefully, slowly, look at what you're doing, you move the stand this way, you have, again, full control of the stand. You can actually open and close at any time. To flip it over, again, watch your surroundings, watch the stand, watch the keyboards, watch the ceiling. In my case here, right? There you go. Make sure no actors are around, nobody to bump into. The C stand here can go up to 11 feet in the air. You have the riser number 1 and the riser number 2. My ceiling is only 7.5 or 8 feet, so I can go all the way up, but it goes up to 11 feet in the air. So this riser and the second one, everything has a nice thick rubber here that prevents metal from touching the other metal. This stand here does not feature a spring like this one does. Some Avenger brand stands, they also don't come with a spring.
Down or to snug it. And they really work nice. And this Avenger,
it's up to the manufacturer. As a matter of fact, I mean, I have both stands, okay? One has springs, the other one doesn't have. But I don't know what the springs are really for, because it's just cool when you open, but they can be a pain in the ass to close it, because you gotta push it down and lock it like this, because the way I see it, even if it is unloaded, if you let this thing come down, it's gonna hit the metal anyway. So this is not a, to me, this is not a safety, because this thing, when it comes down, it's gonna smash it down with or without spring. I kind of like the spring, I'm not gonna lie, but this one here does not come with the spring. That's the way it is. This C stand here has a standard total base legs, which you can actually detach. However, this stands here, doesn't matter if it is an Impact, an Avenger, or a Matthews, you cannot detach the base like a regular total base legs do. It is not possible to have a design that is detachable. So you have to counterbalance the advantages and disadvantages. If you want portability, you can actually detach the legs over here. So we have two types of C stand you can choose. To have both is always a good idea. The stand body, most of it comes with this semi-matte finish, and the ends over here, the grip heads and the knobs here, they come with the matte finish, and also it feels good in the hand to handle. The paint actually feels great. It feels like almost like a sandpaper kind of thing. And these things are huge. It's very comfortable to actually grab it. And this stand over here, you don't need to over tighten anything. Just like a light tightening is enough for most things, but when you have a heavy load, of course, make sure you tighten the crap out of this thing. Some accessories like this, some of them even come with a flat side, also helps the light not to turn, which is great. This one here does not have that. Another thing that I find important to check, at least that's what I do, every single stand, doesn't matter if it is a regular stand, a C stand, even on Amazon basic stands, I don't care what that is, always check the screws on the collar and also the legs, because in transit things can come loose or whatever, especially if you use the stand a lot, you open and close. So an occasional maintenance is also required. And since this stand is made in China, the same way if you buy a stand made in Italy or anywhere outside the United States, The system they use, of course, don't forget, is metric. You don't want to be using imperial hex keys here. The size number here is number 5 millimeters. So always check to see if everything is tight and everything, because if it is not, sometimes when you want to grab this thing from here, this thing is going to rise. This particular stand and that one over there did not need that maintenance, but this particular one here did. So it's always a good idea to always check if everything is tightened. Now on the legs here, I need you to pay attention to something. There's a bunch of screws over here. This is the actual legs that they are secured by the base. You want to make sure everything is fully tightened. Not these guys. This is what controls the tension when you actually open and close the stand. So the correct way to tighten this, if you see the screw, this one here is moving a little bit, this little nut, right? All you gotta do, gently adjust it until it no longer moves. You don't want to tighten this because it will be impossible to close the leg. So again, this screws here is the one that actually hold the leg into the base, and these are the tension screws. You have one here, another one there. See the opening there? Don't touch this. Just make sure this end nuts here, they're not moving. So this way everything's secure and you can close the legs. So when you buy this stand here, everything that you see here comes with the stand. The actual stand, of course, the 40-inch arm. It comes with the 2 grip heads and also this massive knobs over here. So before you get the stand, make sure you don't forget the accessories that you can buy at B&H, such as the baby pin here. This is the heart of the system if you want to load lights on this end over here. If you want to install a flag, you don't need that because this already comes with their own thing. And also on the back here, if you need to attach something else, such as a sandbag or whatever, or more accessories, you can actually buy black, of course, but mine is silver. You can actually put this over here, like so. And of course, this whole thing moves here, which you can also install all the pins here with the 3/8 or 1/4 inch, whatever you got. You can put another light here, whatever you need. And also the weight of this stand, the heavier this thing is, the better. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you how much this thing weighs. So this is one of the tallest C stands that I have. I'm gonna weight this here. Approximately it weighs 16 pounds and 13 ounces, or about 8 kilograms. Now let's weight this heavyweight champion right here. About 20 pounds and 12 ounces, or 9.7 kilos. And of course, lastly, to use this as a regular stand, you just remove this thing out of here and you have yourself a standard baby pin 5/8 ready to use as a normal light stand. This is actually my first stand that has the capability of changing the height of the legs, and I absolutely love this thing, and I want to thank so much Impact for sending this stand to me here. I'm sure you guys know that Impact is the in-house brand B&H has. This is one of the scenarios here. I have the Generate Powerhouse, which is a quite heavy light. The arm is fully extended. I only have 4 inches remaining over here. And as you can see, the arm, it doesn't bend, neither does this. You can see the stand is still straight without the need of putting any extra counterweight over here. So as you can see, the pole is actually straight, it's not actually bending that way. I have a sandbag over here and an extra weight over there. Another cool thing you can do with a C stand instead of a regular stand is the ability to lower the light like this. You can also tilt it up like that, just in case you need the light to be here somehow. And you can also put this in the opposite way, as high as you want. When this thing is fully extended, you still have the arm, another 40 inches of extension to aim the light even higher. As you can see, everything is pretty solid. This pole here is pretty thick. It exceeds 1.5 inches in diameter. Another scenario here, I have a 42 by 36 inch flag, which is pretty heavy. This whole thing is made of steel. And as you can see, the pole still remains straight without any strain whatsoever. The actual base and the pole of the stand, everything is fine. And over here, the grip heads allow you to move this in any direction you want, this way, that way, in an angle. And then a little bit of tightening should do, and everything stays. This one here, to tighten the main grip head, a little bit of tightening, this thing stays like that. And on the back here, the main grip head that's holding this whole weight, everything comes out very easily. You want to put it back there. There you go. All C stands manufacturers, they obey the same standards. The leg, they are the same. Everything is the same, the gobbles, the grip heads, the knobs, everything is the same. So just in case if you want to buy extra accessories for the C stand, such as the threaded arm, you can easily do that, stealing from another stand, screw the whole thing here. This arm here can go on the other stand's arms can go over here. I don't know if you have a C stand, but if you don't, I don't know what you're waiting for to get one of those things. Look at what you can do with a single C stand with the arm and the stand itself. The only thing that I added here was an extra grip head. So pretend this is an actual white card. I just have this thing sitting on my flag here. I don't feel like setting up another panel here because you get the point over here. So you have a white reflector here. Generate powerhouse or any other light that you want to use, bouncing the light back to the set. And if that's not enough, you can actually have your white reflector here while you actually put this thing here in the back with another grip head. So you have a flag over here to avoid light spill or whatever. This is awesome because just one stand do all this. I mean, only your creativity will limit this. Here's an example with the C stand loaded, at least with a big light. If you can't undo the whole stand and you need to do something really quick, in this example I'm going to be showing you guys how to safely move the leg up and down in case you have a step or an obstacle. So you just come over here, remove the sandbag. As a matter of fact, since I've removed the sandbag and I'm not even touching the stand, I'm going to show you how this impact stand performs. I have no sandbag on the stand here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to remove this weight as well here. Everything's removed. So all I have right now is the Impact C stand with no weights attached. All you see is the stand and the light. I'm going to be pushing forward to see what happens. As you can see, the stand does not want to fall. Even though I do not recommend this procedure, I just want to show you how the actual stand and its legs is performing with a light this big running on the very end of the rod. So when you push it, it doesn't want to fall. Of course, unless you do this way, and then of course the stand is going to fall, you know. But I'm just showing how the large leg and this arm fully extended, you still want to hold the light this big, but you still want to put your sandbag because who want to have a setup like this? You're asking for trouble. I'm just showing you here how the stand is performing. Okay, so here's your stairs. The first thing they absolutely want to double check to see if all the knobs are tightened, because if you're in a rush on a set using a C stand, if you happen to unscrew, untwist something that you shouldn't, this whole light is going to flip upside down, it's going to fall. You cannot have rush using equipment like this. So make sure you pay attention to what you're doing. Here's your stairs. Same technique that I showed you. Make sure everything is tightened. Take your time. Grab the stand from here, over here, raise it. Here's your steps. And then you loosen the knob over here. And then you can actually move the stand out and let it slide down. And then also make sure you don't raise your head too fast because you're gonna hit the pole like that. Do everything patiently, no rush, nothing crazy. Once you're done, stand by, close to the stand, keep holding the stand, add the sandbag here. You can actually opt for these weights over here, which you can install them here, as many as you want, and there you go. C stands, they're very heavy, very big to fit in the car. So if I'm gonna take a C stand out there, this is gonna be the one to take instead of my other C stands because I know I'm gonna be dealing with those obstacles. So the fact that this stand has the removable leg up and down, that is awesome. Whether you have a black stand or even the chrome ones, if you want your stand to last a long time, before you start to move the arm or put it away, put it down like this, make sure this is actually as loose as possible because you don't want the slightest contact from this metal to this one here because these holes, they have teeth inside and it has a very powerful bite because it's going to scratch your rod from end to end, either if it is a black finish or the chrome one. But pay particular attention on the black finish, since it is a paint, this scratches very easily. Don't forget that they also have the silver option if you prefer. The one with the turtle base leg and also the one with the Rocky Mountain, the sliding leg feature. The only cons that I see on this particular stand here is just the arm that I wish they made threads on both sides, a 1/4 inch 20 over here and a 3/8 on this side, and the fact that the front grip head does not remove out of the arm, and also I'm limited to only pivoting this back and forth. If I want to move this sideways, I have to come down here and actually loosen this, and then I can actually do my final tweaks. So I would like to do this independently over here in the front without bothering to touch this part over here. Other than that, this stand is absolutely a must buy. It's super solid, super heavy, very well built, very sturdy. Other than the thing with the threads here, and this part does not come off. So here comes the second and final part of the video, how to properly set up, use, and handle the C stand. I'm gonna start with the way you grab the stand. If you grab it from over here and the other person grabs the stand, usually people on set, they're gonna grab both the arm and the stand itself. So you don't want your hands to get pinched, because if that happens, that's gonna hurt your hands pretty badly. So what you wanna do is grab the stand from over here, from both the arm and the stand, and then you give it to the person like this, and the person should also grab the stand from here, but never from here, because look what happens, you know, this is gonna pinch your hands. So there you go, you just brought your nice shiny C stand over there. Can't wait to use it on the set. But the first thing you do before you even attempt to open the C stand, watch your surroundings and pay attention to where you are. Are you in somebody's home, somebody else's building or business? Just make sure you are aware of your surroundings, because usually somebody's home, there might be something expensive. For example, a piano can cost between $50,000 to $450,000, and not to mention the $1 million or $2 million pianos. This is just one more thing. Fine arts on the wall, stuff that you can't really replace. Make sure, don't start moving this like crazy, because you're gonna knock somebody off here, or a piece of art or something they're gonna damage, and then you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Right here I have the most popular type of C stand that you're probably gonna find in the studio. This is the total base leg system over here. So to open the C stand, the best way to do is you flip the whole thing upside down. The thing is in front of you, and you have full control, and you can see what you're doing. You simply push this thing to the side like this, and the other one, and the stand is done. There is a little notch over here that you can see where the actual legs, they park. See this? It has a little thing over there. You can actually see when it sits properly. So this is when you feel the stand is actually properly set up. So if you decide you want to open the C stand upright this way, and as you can notice, this is a tiny C stand, and you still have the chance of poking somebody's ceiling. Especially if there's artwork on the ceiling, boy, are you in trouble. But anyway, I usually like to push it, the larger leg with my thumb like this, and I put the stand this way here, near my body, and then the other leg goes that way. And then always watch for the ceiling, put the stand down. If you start doing some crazy stuff like this, you can hit the camera, you can hit everything else. Just don't do that. The best way to do is this way. To collapse the stand, just do this. To open the stand, look how quick that is. I've been doing this for 25 years, but it doesn't take 25 years to learn all this stuff. It actually took me 3 days, because I was working for big professionals when I was a kid. All I did was paying attention, listen to what they say, look what they are doing. In photography and video, even though there's a bunch of rules that should be followed, especially the 180-degree rule or whatever, but for some creativity reasons, we might be allowed to break that rule on purpose maybe once or twice. Now in the C stand world business, there is a rule that you shall never ever break, especially if you are on somebody else's set and there are people actually watching you. If a DP or any other director, anybody that's been doing this for a long time sees you doing this thing wrong, first thing they're gonna tell is that, get off my set, you don't know what you're doing. So whatever the situation is, make sure this is facing, when you are behind the stand, make sure these two grips are facing always on the right side, because what people want you to do, which makes sense as far as gravity works, this side, the gravity is gonna push this down, and this is supposed to self-tighten, correct? So if you put the light in the opposite way, this is gonna actually self-loosen, right? But I actually was thinking about it, playing with the C stands, observing the mechanisms here. But look, don't get me wrong, never do different when you are in a movie set. I will always obey that rule, especially when I am in public working with my equipment, because if somebody sees me doing different, this is gonna make me look very bad. But again, going back to this system here, the way it works, I think this is actually not accurate. It's actually a myth, because unless this rod was actually mounted on this grip over here, on this knob, right? And then it will self-tighten more as the rod falls this way, because I don't see the possibility of this thing self-tightening it, because it doesn't. All you see is the washer here and the gobble head itself. Trust me, this is not going to tighten anything if you mount the light this way. So I already ruined my washer here. I was even trying to demonstrate on the video. I'm not gonna do that. This is what I came to the conclusion, that this is a myth. But again, never do this on a set with this thing is not facing the right side, because you're gonna look like a fool over there. Never do that. Just obey what they ask you to do. Always load your stuff with everything facing the right side. But to me, I think this is bullshit. Only if this thing has a hole here, and then you actually insert the rod here, and then as the light falls, this is going to be tightening more and more and more. Now in this system here, all there is the stuff that spins like that. It makes no effect with the thing falling this way unless this is attached to the actual handle here. But again, don't do this different. Always load your stuff on the right side if you don't want to look like a fool in front of everybody. Same thing over here with the system. If you have the light falling this way, it's not going to be tightening. In the photography and cinematography business, there are rules that also should be obeyed. But for creativity reasons, sometimes, you know, we don't care. We break one or two of those rules. For example, the 180-degree rule. The right way to break that rule, for example, if you are wearing a Steadicam, this is the actual 180 rule for this side of the set. To break that rule, you actually use a Steadicam, and then you go beyond the 180 and keep filming. Now the new side of the whole thing, all cameras, they have to jump to the other side until the Steadicam breaks the rule again. Another very important thing here, never allow anybody that's not experienced with the C stand approach the stand, because something really bad is going to happen. And never set this up in a rush, because as you can see, there's like a bunch of knobs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, depending on what you have loaded here. So if you actually accidentally turn one of them knobs over here, this is actually going to cause the flag or the light to fall on the ground, slide off the hole here and fall. If you want to rise the stand accidentally, you twist this thing. I'm going to do a slow motion for you here. This is going to collapse on the floor, and this is going to come down like that. So make sure you hold everything. Make sure you pay attention to what you're doing. If you want to position this in a different way, this is the knob that you're going to control first. Once that's done, tighten and everything, and then you control the second one if you want to move the flag this way, that way, or whatever. So one knob at a time. Make sure you pay attention to what you're doing, because if you want to do the wrong thing here, this whole thing is on the ground. Now the beautiful thing about these diamond-shaped holes here is because whatever it is that you put in here, this thing bites very strong. And this is just an ingenious invention. This is actually over 100 years old, and usually people back then, they usually do the right thing once, because for example, piano, an acoustic piano, is the same exact design since the 1700s, even before the actual piano came. It was like some kind of a clavinova kind of thing, but the mechanism was the same. The only thing technology did today is have a better strings or better hammer, the materials or whatever, but the mechanism, the thing is the same thing. So the C stand design is 100 years old, and apparently nothing has changed, just better materials, maybe an improvement on the top of the holes here. The only thing new here that I can think of will be the Rocky Mountain design, that you can actually raise the leg up and down. Other than that, the C stand has been the same since 100 years ago. Of course, the C stands back in the day, they didn't move, they didn't collapse, they were like, you know, welded together, and you put it in a truck with the whole thing open, with the three legs open. But the design-wise, it hasn't changed a thing. So with a little bit of physics knowledge and a little bit of common sense, this C stands, they can be the most powerful tool you can bring on a set as far as your lighting arsenal goes. So the main use of a C stand is the fact that it can actually hold heavy loads at a distance, meaning when you have this arm, like, you know, sticking out this far right here, you can hold very far from the same stand. You can't do this with a regular stand, right? So now let's load the C stand the way it should properly be done. I'm going to put the flag over here. Now I'm going to extend the arm all the way out. So here's the C stand by its own. This is a heavy flag, and I don't even have sandbags yet because I'm placing this flag on the right leg. You're supposed to have the weight, the load, facing the largest leg, which is this leg right here. So you have the shorter leg, the mid leg, and the large tallest leg. This is where the load is supposed to be pointing at. If you do anything other than the large leg, for example, I'm going to be actually shrinking this here so I can actually turn the flag, even making the load less stressful, right? Still, when I have the flag right here, I'm gonna be turning this now to the wrong side of the leg. Now as you can see, I have the flag on the opposite side here using the shortest leg, the lowest leg. Watch what happens. The C stand is gonna fall very easily. So when you're moving stuff like this, watch the both sides of the rod, what's in the front and also what's in the back. I don't want to hit my speaker. I don't want to knock off another piece of light over there. So just make sure you do this slowly and with caution. I'm going to extend the arm back here the way it was before. You can also rise it if you want. So the proper way to do this is don't walk away from the stand until this thing is properly sandbagged down. So now that you have your stuff properly set, the whole weight is facing the largest and tallest leg. You want to actually sandbag this. This particular bag, as you can see, it's not doing anything because it is actually touching the ground. Manufacturers, they obey the size and length of these legs. So all C stands, they pretty much have the same height. So it's not the stand's fault, it's this thing's fault here. In this case, in order for you to manage this correctly, you have to manage your way to put the bag here in a way that does not touch the ground. You got to do something about it, even if you have to occupy two legs with this thing. But what you don't want to do is to have the bag touching the floor because there is no weight. The stand still moves, okay? Another thing that you can use is this super heavy little weights over here. Instead of the sandbag, you can put 1, 2, or 3, leave it right there. And you can also put the sandbag on top, which this creates an extra height. Now my entire bag is off the ground. See, I'm having a double sandbag or a double weight right here. So I'm using the thing's extra height over here, this little ratchet knob here. Now my sandbag does not touch the ground. And instead of sand, I actually use gym weight discs because I think it is a cleaner setup. You know what I'm talking about, those little discs, right, that you buy at Walmart. So I'm using like a 5-pound disc, and you can put as many as you want, up to 25 pounds. And if you need a lot of weight, just keeping adding the bags, not exceeding 25 pounds maximum on each bag. You can also sandbag all 3 legs for extra protection, but the leg that you want to put the weights is always the tallest and largest leg, and the whole load should be facing this leg only. If you do the other way, you're going to be doing this wrong. Your light's going to be on the ground, something bad's going to happen. So here's the interesting thing, either a live set or a behind the scenes YouTube that I'm watching or whatever, I see a lot of people, they're still doing this stuff wrong. Something as simple as how to raise properly a C stand or a regular stand or even a Amazon basic stand, it doesn't matter. The procedure and rules are the same. So the mistake that I see a lot of people making is because they rise the stand starting from the bottom here. So when they run out of the pipe here, you know, my ceiling is this high, pretending this is the highest it can go, right? So the odds are your DP is going to ask you, hey, I need another 6 or 8, 12 inches or whatever. And your pole is already maxed out. So you're going to be actually working now on an unsafe and unstable position with this heavy load on the C stand here. And then you're going to be working in the air here. It makes everything dangerous. So the correct way to do, never start from the bottom. Start from the second riser and then raise this as high as you want to go. So let's pretend I'm actually maxed out over here. And then when your DP asks you, hey, I need another 10 inches, there you go. You just rise the thing like this. You can go a little bit higher. It's that simple. C stands are heavy. It doesn't matter if this comes with a little springy thing here or not, because if you are distracted, talking to somebody or whatever, or somebody else touches this thing here and you have a light over there, some heavy piece of gear, when this thing comes down and your hand or your thumb is over here, it doesn't matter if this thing has a spring here or not, that thing is going to come down and it's going to crush your thumb. And I don't even want to picture this situation. So be very careful with these things, which leads me to the next thing over here. I'm just in my studio here doing a little YouTube for you guys, but you know, I'm just using my hands. But usually on a set, on a professional movie set, the gaffers, they're supposed to be wearing heavy-duty gloves and some thick boots, nothing like dress-up shoes like I'm doing here right now, especially socks, especially when you're having a white backdrop. I understand you don't want to dirty the white background, but you can bring your thick boots And actually you can buy booties that it is designed to cover the shoe, so you can actually walk on the on set with a white background, a chroma key, green screen, whatever you have there. You don't want to get it dirty, and you have your foot protected because you don't want to lose a toe on a movie set. And the bigger the movie set, the more dangerous it becomes, because the stuff is bigger, heavier, more expensive. It's not really the DSLR guy kind of thing. They're dealing with a half a ton this, 6 tons over there, generator this big. So always wear the proper attire, heavy duty gloves, and the thickest boot you can possibly have, possibly knee guards and everything. I'm serious, because this stuff here, everything in this scenario here is heavy. This is not an Amazon basic stand. This is like something pretty serious. Not to mention that will make you look also unprofessional, showing up on a set without the stuff that they like to see you wearing. Another good thing you can do is have some kind of a diffuser here. Roscoe sells a large gel that comes like, I don't know, 10 feet this way by this large over here. So I have a mini C stand over here, not so much of a big extension, but you can actually picture what I'm trying to do here. So when you have 2 big C stands like this here, you can actually have probably a 10, 12 foot long background holder. Anything that you want to hang in here, it can be a diffuser, it can be a chroma key, green screen. So let's say that you want to put like 5 or 6, 8 LEDs shining hard light this way, with a ginormous diffusion panel here. So anything beyond this point over here is going to have that gorgeous diffuse, soft, huge light over here. So as you can see, the things that you can do with the C stand, only your imagination can put a limit on ideas how to use a C stand, because there are many. You can do so much stuff with this thing, it's not even funny. Maybe in the future they'll make a C stand that you can actually do push-ups. Now, just in case you forgot your extra grip head over here, just in case of an emergency, this is perfectly acceptable. The size of this thing here fits exactly the amount of the light over here, which you can just mount the light over here. Is perfectly acceptable as well. Now, this next topic here is probably the hugest, if that's a word, of all of them, because especially if you are in the United States, this is the land of the lawsuit. Everybody sues everybody for whatever reason they can get their hands on. So if you're on set, low ceiling, or if this stand happens to need to be this way over here, somebody on set walking over here can be even an actor or your client, and then they're walking, boosh, right in the eye, right? Or even worse, this way here, you can lose a tooth or your eyesight directly. This is not going to be a pretty sight, and this is actually, I don't even want to think about that. So the things that you should do is to put either a green, the greenest, brightest, shiniest tennis ball you can possibly find, poke a hole in there, put something obvious here. So when people walk, they see the thing, they're just gonna do this. Whatever it takes to, this is a good idea for you here as well. Your shotgun thing, just slide this thing over here. Somebody hits their head over here, it's nice and soft and cushiony. And this is pretty obvious that that's on site. Another thing that you gotta do is, if you can actually lower this way, and put your flag there, lower the stand, whatever you gotta do. If you need the flag higher, just like, lower this. The flag's going to be higher, so you don't want to have this kind of hazard on your set. So when the C stand is this way, no big deal, but if it is this way here, especially at this height, be very careful what you're doing, especially if you are in somebody else's business, building. Now, another way to do this, especially if you have a high ceiling, you can actually rise the stand as high as you want and leave the arm this way. Raise the stand as high as you can possibly want to go. And then you can still adjust your flag's height and composition this way, that way. Now, whatever it is you're doing, try to avoid having this thing over here this way. If you absolutely have to do this, make sure you have your precautions that I described here before. You can put a warning light like here, whatever it takes, so no accidents on your set. Do whatever you gotta do. Another cool thing you can do with the C stand, this is what I'm gonna buy next. Home Depot, you can buy a 1-inch square pipe. And extensions of 6 feet, 8 feet. You can actually make a overhead lighting on an interview set, because when you use 2 or 3 large lights like this, you're actually spinning lights all over the place. You light on the walls, you light on the coffee table, you light on the floor. If you want to have like a moodier, more spotty kind of a thing, you can actually have a overhead lighting and a bunch of light panels shining the light particularly on a host and the other people being interviewed, so you can actually direct the light, and this whole thing is out of the shot. You can raise this as high as you want, and since it is a square tube, the light is not going to have a tendency of sliding and falling, like not falling on the ground. I'm talking about just like, you know, falling off the place there. So you can actually light, just like television set, everything hung on a ceiling, like ceiling lights. As far as I know, the only manufacturer that actually have the adapters and the tools for this type of setup, the overhead lighting, is Matthews. They also have the thing that you can actually unite two tubes at once. You can have breakdowns of like 4, 6, or 8 feet, depending on the size of your car. So you connect both pipes over here, another extension right there. And at the ends, they have the, I forgot the name. It looks almost like a super clamp. And to hang the lights, they have the Mathelinis that you can actually hang all the lights over here. So this is an amazing setup as well. Lastly, outdoors, even with the C stands, it doesn't matter how many sandbags you put over here, especially if you're using this type of thing here, which is a flag. Wind can actually blow here very easily, the same way the wind has the power to move a boat at incredible speeds. So the thing you want to do is to have an assistant specifically to hold this stand and the other guy to hold this stand over here and not walk anywhere. Just stay here until the shoot is done, until this flag is down. As you can see here in this scenario, I have 3 different C stands of 3 different brands and manufacturers. When you're done using your C stands, you want to simply park the stand. There's a little trick to do this. Even if it is a different brand, all the manufacturers, they obey the same type of legs, the same height, the same length, the same everything. So you want to park the stands right here with the biggest leg facing this way. And then you can actually park this stand over here with the same large leg this way. And then if you need to move this around, you can actually do this here like that. So you're supposed to park the C stand this way. And the same thing with the other one, like that. Look how pretty that is. Now if this set is actually this area here, you want to park the stands, you want to shift the whole thing this way. So let's say your stands are parked that way. And then you want to grab the stand and pull it from here. Now the cool thing about this setup over here is because not only from the back, you can actually remove the very first one on the front as well. You see how this works? If you put the C stands like that, that's not going to be pretty, and this setup doesn't work because they all get tangled up and everything. So you want to usually do this here. This is how all the professionals use, and this is the way it has been for at least, I don't know, 80 years. So this is the actual proper way to park your C stands. And if you are on the concrete floor, you can actually grab everything and push everything in one shot, like a little train, you know what I'm saying? So this is how you store your C stands. Now the problem is transporting the C stands in a simple way. I've been looking all over the internet. Nobody seems to bother to make a simple zipped trapper bag in the shape of the C stand with a minimum amount of padding is enough to transport in the car. This is a piece of my Kessler crane thing that I didn't need for my case. I took it to a dry cleaning place to customize. She saw on the top part, put a Velcro on the bottom over there. And then the second piece over there that you see there, this is what costs expensive because this is a custom item. So this cost me in excess of $60 because I have to buy a hardwood floor padding as a padding side, buy the nylon thing, the Velcro. She took about 2 hours to make this thing. So there you go. The case looks like a little flag. So I really wish somebody made this on the internet. Like this should easily cost like, you know, 25, 30 bucks because I know it can be done. I am not paying 300 bucks for a C stand case. Those things are huge, heavy, and 300 bucks, this is twice what the C stands cost. All I need is a simple zipped case with a little bit of a padding, and somebody's gonna be making a lot of money making these cases. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments because I respond to every questions. And thank you very much again for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.